Hi, John.
Hey, Greg.
Good to see you again.
You too, buddy.
Are you ready for episode 5?
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's do it.
The music always gets me going.
Good to see you, John. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Been a good week.
Yeah, good week?
Yeah. How about you?
Good. You want to know what's on the schedule?
Sure. Let's go over it.
Okay. A little more about Russia, cancel culture, Chris Cuomo, mask mandates, airplanes, vegetarians. Lots of questions.
All right. Let's roll into it.
I'm glad to have you. I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
It's always better when you're here.
We have a good time.
You ready to do this?
Let's go.
Let's do this. All right, here we go. All right, man. Here we are.
Let's start out with that most serious subject first, right?
The most serious subject first is going to be Russia.
It's intense.
Now they're up to 200,000 troops on the border of Ukraine.
Yeah. This is not just a joke.
And Putin didn't put those troops there to just say, oh, okay, I'm just kidding. Gonna go home now.
No.
No.
There's something going on. The separatist.
He wants something.
He wants something.
He wants land.
He really wants to recreate. He's looking at Russian history, and he wants to recreate the Soviet Union, I think.
Pre-1989.
Yeah.
I agree.
At least as close as he can. He thinks that he'll go down in history as recreating the great Russia.
We went over last time what his demands were.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're shelling to provoke a little bit of action from the Ukrainians to justify coming in.
So, question for you. You're maybe more up to date on this because I was working all day today.
Why do you work?
At the shoe market.
No, why? Why do you work?
Why do I work?
Why do you work?
I have a lot of clients that depend on me. Be honest with you.
Working's boring. Well,
you work your ass off. You just don't do a normal job.
I know, but I just make it look like I work a lot. It's the optics. It's all about the optics.
Optics.
It's all about the optics.
Yeah, true. But also, I do have a lot of clients that depend on me. I've been doing this a long time now.
I do find it interesting that people actually ask for you. They actually make an appointment and they
I had like 5 people today call me about appointments.
That's amazing. I would never think that with shoes, people would say, okay, I'm going to make an appointment with John to get some shoes. Because I've always just went somewhere, bought shoes, and left.
You're blessed with good feet and good posture and knees and back and all that stuff. There are people that suffer with issues with their feet and their knees and their back, and what we do at the shoe market is we can help people with that.
Do you think we can get $100 from Perry for this plug?
He might do something for us. He's not a cash guy. He's a trade. He's a trade guy.
Maybe get some flip flops or something from Perry. We make a deal with him.
There you go. Tanya, his lovely daughter, who's my friend, would probably like to. Yes. She'd actually be more likely to hook us up with something.
We can get her on the show.
Yeah,
we can get her on the show.
Yes,
we would have to figure
celebrity guest.
We would just have to figure out how to get the button that goes beep.
Right, and also we got
when they say the bad words.
Yeah, we have to have space here. Where would we put her?
We would figure out something. But anyway, Russia is Russia is not playing around. They are, besides asking for unreasonable demands, they're in it to win it.
Right, and I have a question before we had that fun little shoe market discussion. You mentioned that Russia was doing the shelling. I thought it was the separatists that were doing the shelling.
Yes, it is the separatists, but the separatists and Russia are one of the same.
Yeah, they're tight.
They're one of the same.
Right, which is why they're being invited to come back over the border to be safe in Russia.
And that's also, well, actually today, Putin says, what's the name of the president of
Zelensky, right?
Zelensky,
yeah.
He says, "Hey, I think Zelensky ought to talk with the separatists. Sit down and talk with the Russian separatists." Well, hell, that's the same thing as talking to Putin.
Yeah,
that's the same thing. There's no difference.
Literally, the separatists are part of the reason that the Russians are there.
They're supporting the separatists.
Yes.
They are. They are.
There's a long history of this eastern part of this. Maybe it's I don't know exactly what it is, but on the border, there's probably 5% of the eastern part of Ukraine are mostly Russians. And so we just had a little discussion before, and so the Ukrainians call the capital city Kyiv, the Russians call it Kiev, which most Westerners know is the capital because of the Soviet history.
Right.
So that part of Ukraine would prefer to be Russian. But if you want to try to negotiate, let's make this part, let's it'd be like, you got the Greensboro wants to annex, part of something, Gilbert County.
I think Texas want to be Texans.
Right.
Texas would like to be their own country.
So that's a discussion.
But you can't do it.
No. Right. So, but there would be a discussion for that, but it doesn't seem like that Putin and his people won't even want to have that. So this goes to another thing that Blinken discussed at yesterday at the UN. Secretary Blinken, he was like, Russia literally is trying to create a ruse as an excuse to go into Ukraine.
That's exactly right.
This is where the separatists connect.
Crimea 2.0.
Yes, but a much bigger deal.
You know what Putin said to Blinken?
What?
He said, Blinken, what you thinking? What you thinking?
What you thinking, Blinken?
What you thinking, Blinken?
It sounds like Pliskin.
Pliskin, that's right. Snake Plissken.
Snake Plissken. Escape from New York.
Plissken. Man, I love Snake Plissken.
Me too.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, that's right.
Snake
Escape
Plissken.
from New York. What
that
a
was
movie.
a good movie.
It's a great movie. I love that movie.
That's a classic.
Classic.
The second one wasn't as good.
No, Escape from L.A. or whatever.
Yeah, Escape from L.A.
It was okay. But the original one was classic.
That was a good one, yeah.
Classic.
Snake Plissken.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry for the divergence, folks.
Right, yeah. That's what we do. We just
randomly move around the world.
Move around.
We do hit big news every once in a while, too.
Well, we should change it to crazy news. Or random news.
Random news.
Be random news.
Random news from John and Greg.
Right. Unscripted random news. Whatever. But it's true. I think every episode we've spoken about Russia because Russia is they're on the front line.
That's the big news.
That's the biggest thing.
It's the biggest news right now.
It's bigger than politics. It's bigger than this or that.
Inflation, none of that shit matters.
None of it matters.
If they invade, that changes the world.
It does.
It's the pandemic of 2022.
I think they're going to, man.
That's unnerving.
Or here's my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Russia will probably try to install a pro-Russian government in Ukraine, so Ukraine is kind of like a satellite country of Russia.
But they have to invade to even try to do that, don't they? Zelensky will not go for that.
He won't go for that.
No.
But
he's pro-democracy. He's pro-no.
Yes.
I'm not going to be a puppet of Putin.
And we haven't sent. Have we sent in troops?
No. All our troops are in the surrounding NATO countries. Now, and we even took our what do you call them? The ones that are in every country around the world.
Boy Scouts?
No. This is where I'm having one of those John can't think of the name of something moments. Anyways, we pulled back our representatives in that country to a city. The diplomats, thank you. We pulled the diplomats back from Kyiv to the largest town that's on the border of Poland. So if we have to, they can immediately leave and go across the border because they are not a NATO country. So we will defend everything around them, but we are not going to go send our troops into Ukraine. We're not going to do it.
I think fighting Russia would be a losing war.
Yeah. So we're doing everything we can to convince them to not do it. But if Putin is determined enough to do it, he will be able to do it.
I mean, no matter what we say, Putin can be like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I'm just going to go.
He can.
I have nothing to lose. I've got 200,000 troops here, everything I need.
And I'm a dictator.
And I can do it.
He's going to go lose an election in 2 years.
It's going to be bloody.
Yeah. There's no election he's going to lose. Because when somebody goes up against him, they disappear or die or end up in prison. He is a dictator.
Poisoned. Yes, that's right. Yes.
His main primary challenger is in prison, and now there's some other crap they came up with against him or something.
Well,
they tried to poison him. He survived. He went back there.
Yes.
I can't think of his name. But
his last name started with a Y.
Yeah.
Yukanovic or something like that.
I don't remember, but yeah.
Well,
he's a bold, brave man. Actually, they poisoned him. He came, got healthy, went back in there where his family was, and to try to do something, and they freaking put him in prison.
There you go.
That's a dictator.
So, but Putin's got some balls.
We'll have to see how this sounds on the mic, me eating chips.
Right. Yes. Maybe the company will use it as a. We can charge them for the sound bite.
Do we want to mention a brand?
I don't even. Just July.
They're good.
Yeah, they're all natural.
They're really tasty.
They're all natural. Okay, well, good luck, Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Right.
We got your back in every way, but our actual military troops.
Exactly.
We're going to do if Putin does go in, and I probably got a little loud there, but if Putin does go in, the screws are going to be really tight economically. He will suffer, and Russia will suffer.
There will be no pipeline, no Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
He will regret it. He will regret it, I believe. The international...
Short term he will, long term he won't.
Long term, historically, probably not.
Right. Short term,
but for the next few years, the people of Russia will suffer. He's selfish.
He is selfish. Well, we're going to wish, again, Ukraine some good luck.
Yes.
The people, hardworking
especially
people. Especially. Right.
There was an article about the 48-year-old woman, and her daughter was, what is war? She had to explain what war was. Because they live in peace. Yes. They went to the stadium, and they were, yep.
Well, good luck, Ukraine. I think we'll be talking about them on Sunday, right?
Best of luck. Yep.
Are you ready for our next?
Ready. Let's do it.
Topic?
Based on the outline, I think we wish we could do it to Putin.
Yes. I wish we could, but it's impossible.
Yes, it is.
It's impossible. Cancel culture. This is an epidemic in America. I don't know if it's happening around the world.
Probably on some level, but it is particularly pervasive here.
But in America, it's a
pervasive.
Problem.
It's a problem.
It's pervasive, and it just seems like if no matter how good you do, if you make one mistake, then your whole life is judged on that mistake.
20, 30 years ago, you did something that was even acceptable back then, but now it's not. And somehow you should have known back then, like you had a time machine, that it was not be acceptable. So therefore you shouldn't have done that. And you'll be canceled over that.
Right. So then if you look at, for example, those who have been canceled, okay? So you go to extreme of like C.K. Lewis, right? He got canceled, right? And now he's kind of doing some small shows, right? Mm-hmm. Right. And then and he's a comedian.
Yep.
And so he's gonna say and do things, and he has done some things that were not correct.
Yep.
But to make it where somebody can't make a living is just kind of going beyond the scope of saying, I don't like what you're doing.
I mean,
right?
Comedians have to push the edge of the envelope anyway to be funny. That's the whole point of comedy.
They push the edge.
You got to push the edge.
Kevin Spacey, he's canceled.
Yep.
Right?
Right. We were talking about the senator from Minnesota. Comedian.
What's his name? He was on SNL.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Funny guy. He wrote a book called.
Can you Google it?
I can. He
just Google it.
He wrote a book called Rush Limbaugh's a Big Fat Idiot. It was hilarious.
Yeah. So I mean, so while you're Googling that, I'm just going to tell you that here in this article here, by Aja Romano, okay, it says here, the idea of canceling began as a tool for marginalized communities to assert their values against public figures who retained power and authority even after committing wrongdoing. But in its current form, we see how warped and imbalanced. Al Franken, that's the one.
Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you.
Yes, that's okay. Warped and imbalanced the power dynamics of the conversation really are. So Al Franken, so
fantastic.
He's a comedian by trade.
Yep.
And he got canceled because I think he touched a woman or he said something.
He actually literally the origin of this was a bit he did. He sent out a photo of himself flying back. He and some people gone over to support the troops, and it was doing a comedy bit, kind of like the Bob Hope and stuff would have done back in the day.
Right.
And they're flying back, and this girl that was on it had fallen asleep, and he pretended like he was going to grab her boobs and took a photo of it, and he did this cheeky little smile and sent that out. And that was the original origin of it. And then it came up, it's like she said, he tried to kiss her awkwardly or something during the trip or whatever. Do your research, whatever. Anyways, it's silly. It's silly. It was a joke in the first place.
It was a joke. He's a comedian.
Maybe bad taste, but it was a joke.
It was a joke. And I think at the time, the woman didn't take offense to it, or she didn't take action to it.
Yeah, later on it became a thing.
But later on, it became an issue.
Yeah.
Right?
Me Too is an extension of cancel culture on some level. Now, not saying that there's not some serious bad stuff done by men to women. Not saying that.
I'm not going to right. We are not going to discount the fact that
there's a reason there's a movement.
In history, men have done inappropriate things to women, and they have gone unspoken about.
Yes.
Right?
Bad problem over the history of the world.
And I'm trying to think if I've done anything.
I'm sure I probably have. I think all men have at one time done something they would regret.
I'm trying to think, and the only thing I can think of that I've done that was inappropriate is like when I was like 7 years old at Skateland USA, had some speed skates, and I grabbed some butts. I grabbed some butts at 7 years old.
At 7 years old, did you realize you were grabbing butts in a way that you like Did you think?
No,
the
I
girls
just
were
thought
cute?
I was just the fastest guy there, and
So
I
you're
just
trying to move them out of the
I just
way.
grabbed some butts.
No, I mean, I think, here's another funny thing
I
about all
hope none of
that.
the girls remember it, because they're gonna come back and sue me for my microphone.
So one of the awkward things about this is if you're someone that's maybe
But
someone.
I apologize to the girls who don't remember me whose butts I grabbed at 7th grade.
Seventh grade or 7 years old?
7 years old
Yeah,
at Skateland USA.
That's pretty good. You could skate at 7.
Oh, I was good, man.
You're good?
I could skate backwards and everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I've always been polite to women. Always been polite.
Oh, I have too. I pride
Always
myself
been
on that.
polite.
But I will tell you, as someone that grew up kind of nerdy and like I was always the girl's friend, not boyfriend. I probably ended up offending some women because like the guy they thought was hot, they were all over him, but me, maybe, no, you're just the guy that I kind of like.
You're the friend
I'm
I
the
can
friend
confide in. You're the friend I can confide in.
Right? And I might come off a little creepy or something if I think like, oh my gosh, she's hot, and how do I transition from this to that? There's a whole thing that's not
From
being
being
discussed.
Mr. Nice Guy to stud book.
Right. There's a whole thing not being discussed in any of this, that men in the history of the world are expected to be the pursuers of women.
Ever since the Big Bang.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Ever since the Big
Bang. Well,
ask Carl Sagan.
Yeah, ask Carl Sagan. History of the Universe.
Right.
Yeah.
Cosmos.
Great show.
Great show. But women also are predators.
They have
women go after guys. Women.
They had
I've
historically
had
their
girl,
ways.
I've had girls, come on to me, know.
Historically, they've had their ways that are different than they are now.
But I was never offended by it.
No, because guys are just like horny.
Guys, we are.
We're just.
We are.
We're built.
We're just made differently, right?
So here's the thing: you look at nature. The rams beat each other in the head to go get the girl. I mean, mammals. All the men just have to show off to get hooked up with the girl. The birds do pretty things. Right.
To attract a mate.
To attract a mate.
Right.
Yes. You look underwater. The world underwater. Most of the male fishes are flashier looking than the female.
Interesting.
And they have to attract the female to.
So it's in the DNA. It's
proliferate the species.
It's in the DNA.
There's something there
of all species, right?
There's something there that's not being discussed.
However,
on Big News with John and Greg, we'll discuss these things.
Right, we will, because we have the guts to talk about this, and we are going to offend some people, but we don't mean to.
Right.
But
we're open to comments.
Yeah. Right? Because we do respect women.
100%.
And men.
Most of my favorite people, honestly, are women.
And yes, but we respect men and women.
100%.
Right?
Absolutely. We respect all mankind.
We do. But there is something going on, and I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Ellen DeGeneres. It's in this article here that I've got highlighted. Right. She was allegedly not good to her staff, and they teamed up against her, and now she's got her last season.
Right. Is that why that happened? I did not read that.
That's what happened.
Wow.
She was allegedly not good to her staff, and now she's like, okay, I'm done. Well, fortunately for her, but see, to me, she doesn't seem 100% canceled, because I think it's just a network that said, okay, we're going to protect our butts and we're going to call it quits.
But yet they're letting her finish her season.
They're letting her finish the season.
It's cool.
And maybe she'll transition into something else. I like Ellen.
I think her show's good.
I like Ellen.
I think she's brought a lot of humanity to a lot of situations that were awkward.
She was actually, if I don't if I remember correctly,
she's one of the reasons that gay people
she was one.
like,
I think she
like
was the first.
commonplace now.
I think she was the first.
Gay couples are okay now.
She had a TV show,
Mm-hmm.
and she came out as a gay woman.
Right.
I think she was the first one.
One of the first, certainly, of any influence and power.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And now
pretty brave.
And now she's a superstar, married to Portia. I think her name is Portia.
I did not know that, but I know
married
she's married
to a really good looking woman named Portia. She's fine, but she got canceled.
You know what? I got another aside. She does shoes, and she has this great comedy bit on shoes. Okay, so this is gonna be really quick, but go Google it.
Go ahead.
No, I want y'all to Google this. Ellen DeGeneres, shoes. I'm not sure how you do it, but shoes and how you try them on versus how you wear them. Anyway, so the bit is this. So she has her own line of shoes, and she does this thing where people put shoes on, and all of a sudden they start doing all these weird moves they would never do in real life, like moving their foot a certain way and this thing like they're doing some dance. It's hilarious. But she's just a brilliant person. I think there's there's that idea too, like like Hillary was strident or something, like women that are powerful and get into a position of power sometimes don't get appreciated for what they do either. What was the prime minister of Britain when Reagan was there?
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher. Yes, the Iron Woman or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So women, when they are getting that position of power and they show authority to handle things, sometimes come across as not being girly or whatever.
Right.
In a way, that's cancel culture.
In a way, it is. However, she did a fantastic job.
She did a great job. Absolutely.
I mean,
fantastic. Ellen DeGeneres has too.
Yeah.
I mean,
in fact, according to this article, in March of 2021, concerns that Dr. Seuss was being canceled over a decision by the late author's publisher to stop printing a small selection of works containing racist imagery led to a run on Dr. Seuss's books that launched him on a bestsellers list. So people started buying his books. So it just seems like people are just taking the smallest thing and saying, well, let's cancel him.
Again,
right?
it was appropriate for that time, maybe, or maybe not. I remember kind of looking into it, and I could see how it might be offensive, but here's the weird thing about it, too. It was his own publishers, and his family and estate were okay with it. Yet it became a big political thing. Somehow cancel culture was a lefty thing or whatever, and it was a leftist canceling Dr. Seuss, which is not reality at all.
Like I said before, I think it's probably 1% of the people driving all of this rigmarole is 1%.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the rest of the people don't really
just
care.
Normal. They should be watching John and Greg.
They should be watching John
and Greg. The rest
of the
99%.
Exactly.
Where everybody else.
This is the podcast you ought to watch. But cancel culture, I think, is an epidemic, and it's not fair.
No,
it just isn't fair. I mean, if you've done something wrong 20 years ago, you're not the same person you are today.
Correct.
Right? And if somebody accuses you of having done something 20 years ago, then
you should at least be able to say, well that was then, this is now.
Yeah.
Look at what I'm doing now.
Exactly. Unless it was something atrocious.
Yeah.
Atrocious. But I mean, if it's most of it seems like it's about guys. It's about ass grabbing. That's
certainly on the Me Too side,
right?
For sure. But I mean, there's a lot of it that are political things too. Like some of it's race related, some of it's a lot of it's gender related though. But I mean, cultural things like even theater. Like okay, we mentioned Ellen and how it's okay to be gay now. Remember when President Barack Obama had to come around to the idea that gay marriage was okay, and his Vice President Biden.
He did that in the second term.
Correct.
Because in the first term, he knew he'd be in trouble if he did. But second term, he could do what he wanted.
Correct. Because of people like Ellen.
And he lit up the lighthouse.
Yes.
The White House,
So,
right?
but that's like the opposite of cancel culture. But if you take that and extrapolate it back, you couldn't be pro-gay marriage if you're a broad political figure at all. You never go anywhere. So here's the thing: you can't. There's some expression cliche thing about. Oh, actually, it's from Star Trek. Something about the good of the one. So the good of many is better and more important than the good of the one. Like one of the Star Trek movies. Like
sounds like Spock said that.
Spock is sitting there
Spock
dying.
said that.
He's dying in the reactor. Okay.
Yes, Spock said that.
And Kirk wants to save him. And it's a profound moment in the history of that series, but it really makes sense. Right? So you can't, you as an individual can maybe start a movement to change things, but you can't just do it. You will be canceled from that point of time so that you can't affect things in the future.
Now watch this. So then I think now you have different degrees of cancel culture, and our friend Whoopi Goldberg is an example.
Great example.
She got on the hot seat,
Yep.
But then guess what? They said you're in timeout for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? You go sit in the corner for 2 weeks.
Back.
You go sit in the corner for 2 weeks, and then you come back.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, okay, that's cancel culture light.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I remember reading about all that too, and I looked up the history of the idea that, that the Nazis thought that the Jews were, a race and this and that. And I mean, Hitler tried sort of making out that way as a marketing campaign to take power for his Aryan race, but they knew that they weren't a race. So I mean, the Jews, I mean,
they crossbred.
So much crossbreed.
I think it's a religion.
It is a religion.
I actually asked a friend of mine. His name is Jeff. He's a Jewish guy. I won't say his name. I called him up. I asked him. I said, "Hey, man."
Well, there are a few Jeffs in the world, but no last names, right?
No last names.
Right.
Right. But he's a good guy. And I said, "Jeff, is being Jewish a religion or a race?" He said, "Give me a break. It's a religion."
Yeah.
It's a religion. Now, that's just one guy's opinion.
Well,
But he's a pragmatic guy, but I just don't see it. I mean,
two of my best friends are Jewish. Two of my best friends are Jewish. Okay.
One owns a clothing store.
Well, I didn't even think about them. The Takers.
So that's three.
Beautiful. Local store.
You said a name.
I did. But it's a local store. It's a great place.
Right.
Anyways, but I was thinking.
Go there.
Let's
say the name.
The Hub Clothing.
The Hub Clothing Store.
In Greensboro. And they have online. Hub Limited.
Go there.
Fantastic, guys.
Yeah. So, I mean.
So, but what I was going to get at here, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I'll forget my point if I don't say it. So two of my really good friends here in Greensboro, both are from a mixed family where the father was of Irish descent, Christian, Protestant, whatever. Mother was Jewish. He became Jewish. He wasn't born Jewish. He became Jewish. His two kids,
he's still
both
a white
married,
dude. He's still a white dude.
An Irish white dude. His two kids, both married, both Jewish, both married people that are not Jewish, and they celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas. They have a Hanukkah bush or something or whatever.
I wish I had that. I get twice as many gifts.
Yeah. So, I mean, that right there.
But I'm gonna say
there's no genetic trait to be Jewish.
There is no genetic trait. But I am going to say something about cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I am.
This show is cancel proof. Do you know why?
I do not.
Because nobody watches it.
I knew there was a good joke coming somewhere.
Right. Nobody knows we exist.
Heck yeah.
Right. It's not, I mean, we can say what we want. Nobody's going to watch it. You can't cancel something that's not there.
I can eat chips and who cares, right?
Right. I can drink this
Nice
lamb
German
short
Riesling. Yep.
from our friend whose name starts with an N.
Right, we will not mention him.
We won't mention his name.
He's not a podcast guy.
But it rhymes with banana peel. His name starts with an N, and rhymes with banana peel. But you can't cancel us because
we're self-published.
Nobody knows us. Nobody listens to us.
That's a darn good point there, Greg.
Right? And we have like how many subscribers?
I don't know. We have 10 to 12, something like that.
10 to 12 subscribers.
We might even get. We might have to 20 or 30 in a couple of months.
I mean,
it's friends and family.
I think it's friends and family. So I think probably looking at it at the big view, John, the best thing that could happen to us would be to get canceled because we get publicity. We get some publicity.
They say good or bad publicity is good.
That's right. We get some press. Right. Our show is canceled. So I mean,
but yet we don't want to be too controversial because the whole point of our show is to not be.
Right. But we do want to make it clear that we respect women. We
absolutely
respect boundaries. All this stuff, but
always be respectful to everybody.
Yes,
it shouldn't matter whatever the situation. Always be respectful to everybody.
But nothing gets
give
resolved.
Everybody the benefit of the doubt at first.
Yes, and nothing gets resolved unless you talk about it.
You have to talk things, resolve things. You should actually, ideally, you would want to confront an issue up front instead of letting it fester and dwell, because a lot of times these things that become negative are just misunderstandings.
Assume good intent.
Yes,
a wise person once told me that.
It is. That's a good one.
Good intent.
Most people are not inherently malicious. In fact, I'm going to throw something out. This is a philosophy of mine. I try to live life half full. But I will tell you, the reason that mankind focuses on negativity in the current moment of their life is because it's so rare. Your normal day is 95% good. Even on a bad day.
I don't get what you're saying.
Okay, so
I don't get it.
So let me make an analogy. So you get up, you have breakfast, whatever, you do your thing. Everything's good, right? 4 or 5, 6 hours into it, something weird happens. Throws you off. It's a negative thing.
1 o'clock in the afternoon, something happens. You get a phone call, something wacko happens.
Right.
Okay.
How do you deal with it? That can also affect whether more weird stuff happens. So if you deal with it and you move on, you're fine the rest of the day. If you obsess about it and you dwell on it, it becomes a vicious cycle and more negative things start happening.
Crisis management.
Right. But generally speaking, most of our day is pretty cool. It's not great. It's not terrible. Right. So the fight or flight instinct that comes in, that is involved in us being animals and mammals, right? We focus on the intensity of the negative moment.
You know, that's interesting because I was actually speaking to somebody who.
That's my take.
No, actually, I was speaking to somebody who's very close to me. I think yesterday or the day before we had this conversation, and she told me that sometimes something during the day can just set her off, and the rest of her day is not good because somebody said something to her that just set her off.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So it's just a matter of it's crisis management.
Hmm.
Right.
And do you have a way to deal with it? Sometimes you don't have a way to deal with it, but usually there is, and if you do, you can move on from it. But sometimes here or there, situational things always are different. But as a general rule, it's a perfect example of what I was talking about.
You know what my way of dealing with this stuff is?
What's that?
This is the truth. This is no joke. If something bad happens, and you know, owning a restaurant, you know, things go haywire,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
I say to myself, you know what? I could be in a hospital bed not being able to walk.
Exactly. Half full. That's my thing.
Right?
That's my point. Half
I
full.
could be in a hospital bed.
Correct.
Can't walk.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Absolutely.
Every other problem is fixable.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. One of my best friends, my college buddy, Henry, had a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, he was at the hospital when he had the stroke because he had a mini stroke beforehand.
And he survived because he was
in the hospital.
Right.
Yeah, he just went up to New Jersey where he's from to visit his sister, do some stuff. He's 99% back to normal after a year and a half. That's rare with a stroke.
I'm glad he's okay.
But you know, it's one of those things where, again, like you said, my father used to have these seminars. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we were talking about cancel culture.
Right.
And I think this cancel culture is based on hatred. And
it's a power trip for the people doing it.
And we just need to get away from it.
Correct.
It's based on anger, revenge, hatred, all these negative
things. There's that
things.
small percentage you're talking about that are obsessed with always being right. And it's usually because there's something wrong within them.
One more thing you want to say about cancel culture so we can move on to the next phase?
We could go on and on. Not off the top of my head. I had that other story, but we can do that another time. It's nothing cancel about it.
Okay.
We're good.
Save it for next time.
It'll be another story some other time.
Are you ready?
Ready? Let's go.
Ready for the glockenspiel? There you go.
Nice transition, sir.
Nice transition. Something easy and light. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
LA County lifts outdoor mask mandate Wednesday as COVID hospitalizations drop. Who cares? Who cares? Outdoor mask mandates?
Outdoors.
Give me a break. I'm at the beach and I've got to wear a mask.
That was one of those things.
Give me a break.
They totally got off originally.
Come on.
They were worried about spring break. Going to the beach wasn't a problem. It's in the bars. Air's flowing.
Give me a break.
Give me a break.
I'm outdoors. I'm having a picnic with my family and I have to wear a mask. Come on.
Absurd.
Come on.
Yeah. For me, I'm happy that
really.
Yeah, the county commissioners here in Guilford County just voted 7-0 to lift our indoor mask mandate, which they weren't enforcing anyways because our mayor wasn't for it. And you know what? Infection rate's gone down, even when they weren't enforcing the mask mandate.
Well, I might have said last time, I was in Texas and Florida and all these other different states where they don't have mandates.
Yeah.
People were fine.
Yep.
I'm not saying COVID's not real. I'm not saying people.
That's not what we're saying.
I mean, I'm respecting the whole deal.
Yep.
I'm just saying, let's just keep it with these masks.
You want to wear a mask?
Give me a break.
More power to you.
Right.
It's fine. Wear a mask. I've heard people want to wear a mask now in flu season because they didn't get the flu while they were wearing a mask. Great. Does you want to do that? That's cool.
But I
don't think the government needs to be mandating it.
I actually came to a conclusion yesterday.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
I think people who wear masks, and this is a bold statement, people who wear masks are essentially saying, I'm better than you. I've got a mask on that makes me better than you.
That's a form of cancel culture, isn't it?
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That they think that they're better than you because they wear the mask? Wouldn't that be a form of cancel culture?
Maybe. It's going over my head.
How cool is that?
Let me
you're bringing
more.
this all together.
It's just nuts. I mean, people like, I'm going to wear a mask, so I'm going to help you out. You're not helping me out.
Right. But my point is, if they think, so I guess, let me be clear. If they think they're better than you because they wear a mask, that's a form of cancel culture. In other words, they're saying you're not as good as me because you're not wearing a mask. That's the point I was making.
Okay, then that's part of cancel culture.
My view is,
I call it dissing. They're dissing me.
They're dissing you.
They're dissing me.
My view is, if you want to wear a mask, that's fine, but it should be about you personally. It should be nothing about me.
Today I was at Harris Teeter.
Mm-hmm.
and there was a nice older gentleman in front of me wearing a mask at the pharmacy, and I wasn't wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. And I made sure I stayed far away from him to respect his space.
Very respectful.
Because he's an older gentleman wearing a mask, and he's obviously concerned, but he needed to go out, and he needed to get things, his medicine. And I'm not going to get up in his grill, right? I'm gonna give this gentleman his space, because that's what, he's wearing his mask, and he's just, he's doing his thing, right?
Good call. That's very respectful. Right. Me, where I work, we wait on a lot of people that are immune compromised, and I actually have been carrying my mask around. The idea is if we're face to face, right? We can't avoid it in some situations. Right. And if someone's masking and they are older, I might put my mask on just out of respect for the idea that they're concerned.
Right.
It's a courtesy.
Right.
Do I feel like I need it for me? No. But as a courtesy to them, I'm willing to do it. Right. If they makes them more comfortable in a situation where I'm providing customer service to them. So that's an in-between thing, but it's along the lines of what you're talking about. Respect people. And in fact, that really goes to the whole discussion here. It's about respect.
It's about respect. Going back to Me Too.
Yes.
Right? Respecting women.
Yep.
Right?
100%. It's all about mutual respect. If we can all be a little bit better about ourselves, we have the self-confidence to be ourselves and allow other people to be themselves, the majority of people just need to respect each other. It solves so many problems.
Exactly. And I'm not out to prove a point. I am not, right? Some people are out to prove a point. This nice old man who was in front of me, I was like, I'm gonna give him his space. Mm-hmm. Right? He's
love that.
He's out. He's doing his thing.
I love that.
This is probably one time he comes out in a day to get his medicine or whatever
he's got to do.
I'm gonna give him more than 6 feet.
Yeah.
Just to be square with him, right?
Yeah, that's good. Good for you.
Right. But I don't wear a mask honestly, I don't wear a mask when I go places, unless somebody says, "Greg, wear a mask or leave." Right. Then I wear a mask or I leave. Right.
Right.
But I'm, if I see an elderly person, I'm gonna be respectful of them.
So, a question for you: when you go to, you're planning on trying to go to Germany soon because your friends are there.
Yes.
How is that? How do you expect that to happen? Because they have much stricter.
I've got to get my booster before I go. That's the bottom line. I haven't got my booster yet, so I have to. And I don't want to get it. I didn't want to get the first one. I didn't want to get it. That's the truth. Because I had the antibodies. I had COVID in the very beginning. I had antibody tests every couple months because I work in a restaurant. Always had the antibodies. Always.
Always test for antibodies. Yeah.
It's
test negative for COVID since then.
Yep. And so I was like, okay, I want to see my friends. So I got my Johnson & Johnson shot. I'll get my booster in a few weeks and I'll go. But I'm only doing it so I can see my friends.
But question for you. Did you have any side effects at all from that?
None.
Me neither.
None.
Don't be afraid of the vaccine. But it's a choice.
It's a choice.
But don't be afraid of it.
I didn't want to take it. The truth is, I didn't want to take it. I'm not a fan of it, but I took it because, for me, it's a passport to see friends. Right?
Cheers.
And my friendships.
Friends are the most important thing in the world.
Do you know how to say friendship in German?
I do not.
Are you ready?
I'm going to learn it.
Freundschaft.
Freundschaft.
Friendship. Freundschaft.
Prost. Freundschaft. So
anyway, good for California. For saying, hey,
getting right together.
If you're surfing, you don't have to wear a mask.
Wouldn't that be funny in a video of that?
That is so crazy, man. That is so crazy. Crazy. Are you ready for some
Ready.
local news?
Let's go.
Here we go. Local news, North Carolina.
Okay.
Bad news in North Carolina.
This one's especially of yours.
Yes.
The pilot.
An airplane went down off the coast of North Carolina on Valentine's Day. It was a Pilatus PC-12.
Brazilian plane.
No.
European Czech?
I look up Pilatus.
Okay. I'm curious. It's either European
I
or
think it's like Swiss or something.
Okay.
But
I'll look it up.
But
you
look it up.
You go on with it and I'll look it up.
Yeah, so then on Monday, this Pilatus took off from an airport in Hyde County. The identifier is Kilo Mike Romeo Hotel, which is called Michael J. Smith Field. Okay, it's got a couple runways, 4,000 foot runway, 5,000 foot runway.
Swiss. You're
Swiss,
right.
okay, Swiss company. So a Pilatus PC-12 is about an 8 to 10 passenger airplane.
When we get high tech, we could actually put this up on the screen.
Yes, yeah. So it's about an 8 to 10 passenger airplane.
I don't think they can see that.
I can't see that.
Okay.
So it's about an 8 to 10 passenger airplane. It is a single engine turboprop airplane, which essentially means it's a jet engine with a propeller attached to it.
A small jet with a propeller.
Okay,
Yep.
so
the jet turns the prop.
right. So it's one of the, it's like a $5 or $6 million airplane.
They're actually very reliable engines.
They're mega reliable.
Yeah, super
They
reliable.
don't break.
They don't. Nope.
They don't break.
Nope.
Right. So then this
more reliable than a piston.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because you have less moving parts, right?
Correct.
So then you've got this PC-12 carrying these 8 passengers. It was a pilot who was in his mid-60s. Okay. You have a pilot who was in his mid-60s, and then you've got some kids.
Okay.
They're doing some duck hunting.
Grandchildren or something. Or
Duck
whatever.
hunting.
Okay.
Kids in high school doing some duck
Gotcha.
hunting. And he was a guy, he owned the airplane, and he was just doing it for like goodwill, just generosity out of his heart.
That wasn't his family then.
No, he was just doing it just for generosity.
Yeah, gotcha.
And the airplane took off, and they're going for a 20-minute ride to Beaufort.
Yeah, it's not long at all.
And they got up to 4,500 feet. And this airplane goes so fast, it only takes about 3 minutes to get to 4,500 feet.
Yeah.
And I've heard some gossip, but I'm not going to repeat the gossip. I'm just going to repeat the facts that I know.
Because you are a pilot and you get gossip.
I get gossip. So here's what I understand. There was some erratic flight during the actual flight, some erratic movement, and the airplane went down. And it went down in the water. And it was only airborne for a few minutes.
Right. Wow.
And so then typically somebody who flies a Pilatus has a lot of experience.
Yeah.
It's not a new guy.
No.
It's a guy with some experience, right? So something happened. So it was an older guy, could have been a health issue.
Heart attack or something.
Right?
Maybe, yeah.
Health issue. Could he have been in the clouds and got disoriented?
Possible. Those would be low clouds, but not too low.
But clouds are clouds.
Clouds are clouds.
Right?
Yeah.
However,
but if you're experienced, you fly through clouds all the time.
You fly through clouds all the time, but there's a difference between experience and proficiency.
Okay, sure.
Right? Experience and proficiency,
Sure,
right?
sure.
But these airplanes are so sophisticated, you can press a button.
And it'll fly through a cloud.
It's autopilot.
Right. Exactly.
It'll take you home.
Correct.
It'll, no matter if you no
gotta
matter
land.
how whack you
gotta
are.
land, but other than that, it'll
Right.
do it
If you
for
press
you.
a button, it'll take you home.
Right. Right.
So something weird happened, and I haven't read any details about it. But
it's very rare that something mechanical in the flaps or something could go wrong. It could. I mean, but that's so rare.
It's rare.
Yeah. Typically in a piston engine, something goes wrong with the engine, not the controls.
Yeah, and with a piston engine, you can just
You can glide usually because it's usually a smaller plane.
You can just glide
because it's usually a smaller plane.
But this airplane, it's a single engine turboprop,
right?
And usually they're they're expensive.
Yeah.
They're millions of dollars,
Yeah.
and so they're so well maintained. Typically it's human error.
Typically, yes.
It's human error. So
most airplane crashes are human error.
yes, because most problems you can overcome if you have the skill set to overcome them.
Correct.
You want to hear a story?
Sure.
I mean, it's going to be a long podcast, but
Yeah.
who cares, right? Nobody else listens to it.
Yeah, it's just
Nobody
us.
listens to it.
It's just us.
I mean,
anybody watching us, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cancel
You're
us.
still watching at this point? You're awesome.
Yeah, if you haven't canceled us by now, thanks.
Thumbs up.
Yeah,
subscribe.
Yeah. Subscribe
Thumbs
somewhere.
up, subscribe.
Yeah.
Even make a comment if you want.
Comment, exactly.
Or thumbs up and subscribe, and then if you make a negative comment if you want.
Yeah, make it, yeah.
Just a comment.
We'll take any comment. Tell us we suck, man. Right?
Exactly.
Tell us we suck.
We want to know. We want to know somebody out there. Somebody out there.
Yeah, we know somebody's like looking at us, right?
That's right.
I need a drink.
Me too.
So I'm going to tell you a story that you don't know about.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yesterday, I was flying my airplane from Greensboro to, it was called Washington Warren Airport. It's by the coast of North Carolina.
Okay. I don't know where that is.
Little Washington.
Okay.
Close to New Bern.
Okay.
Okay?
Gotcha.
I think it's Oscar Whiskey Charlie is the airport identifier.
Okay.
So I was flying from Greensboro to there. I filed for 5,000 feet. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Flew out of Greensboro airspace, got handed over to Raleigh. Okay, 132.35. So I'm talking to Raleigh. I say, Raleigh, 6 Zulu Bravo, straight and level, 5,000 feet. All right, we got you, 6 Zulu Bravo, 5,000 feet. Altimeters, whatever it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I know, complete electrical outage.
Wow.
The whole airplane goes out.
Wow.
No electricity.
Ooh.
None.
Wow, that's freaky.
Yesterday, I'm flying an airplane by myself.
And you're doing a podcast with me now.
I'm doing a podcast. There is no cheers, bro. This is a true.
Full.
This is a true story. This is true. So,
wow.
Because we're talking about this Pilates, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this kind of ties.
This ties in. This is significantly ties in.
So watch this. The airplane has no electricity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The whole dash looks like the airplane's parked. Looks like I have the ignition turned on.
So there's literally no lights or anything.
There's nothing. My GPS goes out. My transponder goes out.
The radio.
My navcom goes out. My audio panel goes out. Everything goes out.
Your flaps are still working though.
They're electric.
Physical.
They're electric.
No, they're not. Then
they don't work.
Nothing works.
I have no flaps.
Wow.
I have no flaps. I have nothing. Right.
Right.
Okay.
You got 5,000 feet of airspace to figure it out.
Right. So, but I got engine. My engine's working.
It's still working.
I got engine.
Okay.
So even my fuel tank says 0. It's down to 0. My oil pressure is down to 0. Everything that says 0 looks like looks like somebody cut off the battery.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no electricity, right? So I'm like, okay. So I try to recycle.
Well, you're a naturally calm person, so good for you. You are.
I don't know if I'm naturally calm, but
I've seen you in crisis a little bit before, and you usually are pretty calm.
Okay. So, but thank you. So yesterday, here I am, and the airplane's loud because when you have on your headphones, they're noise canceling, so things are quiet. Mm-hmm. So things are loud, right? I'm like, what do I do, right? So I'm close to the Class C airspace, and I know that the rules say you cannot fly an airplane in the Class C airspace if you don't have a transponder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a mode C transponder.
Okay.
I had nothing. It's like somebody unplugged my airplane. I just had an engine with a propeller going.
It's more than just a fuse going. That's everything.
The airplane was turned off.
Right.
It was off. I had nothing. It was black.
Wow.
Okay? So I said, okay, what do I do, right? So I just made a 180 turn, headed back towards Greensboro, okay? Because I had looked for my handheld radio.
Okay.
Guess where it was? Right there.
So
it
you
wasn't
didn't
in my
have it with
airplane.
you.
So
Wow.
see, this is what I use when I have an emergency. I can call up the tower and I can say, "This is 6 Zulu Bravo. I have an issue."
Right.
I even have
You
that.
didn't have it. Wow.
So at 5,000 feet, you don't have cell phone service.
Yes.
So I turned around.
But you had mechanical control of the plane.
It's called positive. It's called positive control of the.
So you could turn the rudder.
Yes, I had positive control of the flight services.
Gotcha.
Okay, positive control of the flight services.
So your the physical stuff was working.
I could go up or down, right or left, do a loop, whatever I want to do. Right.
Right. But not being able to put your flaps up when you're landing makes the landing much more.
Flaps down.
Yeah.
You gotta land fast, right? So I'm like, okay, what do I do? Mm-hmm. What do I do? I have an airplane that's.
You can't even communicate.
I have a half an airplane.
Yeah.
Half an airplane. I just have an engine running. I can't talk to anybody. Nobody knows nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Because usually at the radar tower, they see me and they see
because you have
November
a transponder.
736 Zulu Bravo,
Your
right?
transponder tells them.
Right, and they see I'm at 5,000 feet. I'm going 150 miles an hour. Right. I'm straight and level, whatever, right?
Right.
Now I'm gone. Well, now all they see is just a piece of metal. I'm just a dot. Piece of metal.
Do they actually know you're there at all?
Yeah, because they see a piece of metal.
Okay.
So they see a dot, but my tail number is not underneath it.
How do they even see that? I'm curious. Is it like the black box effect?
No. They have a radar.
Oh, the radar sees you. Okay, I got you.
Sees things in the sky.
Once you get close enough, once you see it close enough, they see the radar.
Yeah, because they see metal in the sky, right?
Right. I got you.
Right.
So yes, once you get within the range of the radar.
Right. Okay. So now
I'm still thinking Raleigh and Greensboro.
Right. So then, because I'm talking to Raleigh, so Raleigh's looking at me. Mm-hmm. So I'm on Raleigh's screen. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, well, after Raleigh comes Fayetteville, and Fayetteville is an Air Force base, and they have F-16s and they'll scramble.
Yeah, right.
Right. I'm thinking, what do I do?
Shit.
Right. So I'm like, okay, the flight's terminated. I'm going back home. So I made a U-turn. Okay. I made a U-turn. I went down to 3,000 feet.
So you could do visual flight rules stuff or whatever you call it.
No. So I get cell phone service.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking you could see better.
No, because
5,000, I guess if it's clear, you can see.
You can see, yeah. With no clouds, I mean, 5,000 feet,
you can see everything.
See far, right? Yeah. But there's no cell phone service.
Right.
So I dipped down to 3,000 feet. I looked in my airport facility directory for the phone number for Raleigh, for Tower, to call them up and say, hey, I got a problem. While I'm making this 180-degree turn to go back to Greensboro, right?
Right.
I call Raleigh, and guess what I get?
An answering machine?
An answer machine. I get an answer machine. I say, you got to be shitting me. I've got an answer machine, and I'm flying half an airplane, and they want, the answer machine, right?
Just need a human.
And it was airport manager.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my God, right? So then the next thing I do is I call Greensboro because they know me.
Right.
They eat at the taqueria. They know my voice. They know my tail number. They know me.
Right.
So I call Greensboro. I say, hey, this is 6 Zulu Bravo. Do you copy? I'm on my cell phone, right? Airplane's real loud. Yeah, we got you. I said, this is Greg with 6 Zulu Bravo. I don't have electricity. He said, you want to land at Burlington? I said, no. I want to carry on to Martinsville, where my mechanic is. I'm going to land there. He said, okay, what's your location? I said, I'm about 20 miles east of Burlington. I'm over I-40. He says, okay, I got you. Because
he could see you on the radar then.
he could see me on the radar. He said, I got you. He said, okay. He said, I'm going to follow you all the way to Martinsville. Call me when you get on the ground.
Okay.
So I'm doing the math in my head to get me to Martinsville, right?
Because fuel and stuff, or fuel's fine. Fuel would be fine.
I had full fuel.
Okay.
Even though it said empty, I knew I had 4 hours.
Right. Okay.
So then I'm doing the math to get me to Martinsville. So I get to Martinsville. I see the runway. Okay. So then I have no flaps. I call my buddy who runs the airport.
Yes, you told me a story about him.
Jason,
sounds like a cool guy, Jason.
My buddy Jason.
Yes.
He's exactly my age. I said, Jason, I have a disabled airplane, no electricity. I can't talk to anybody. I'm coming in. What are the winds? He says 190 at 4 knots.
It was a little windy yesterday.
Well, yesterday was okay. 190 at 4 knots is nothing. So I said, okay, I'm landing 3-1. I said, clear the runway, clear the airspace. I'm coming in. And I landed with half an airplane. How about that?
That's fucking awesome, dude.
So then,
amazing.
There's a story of
my language there.
No, that's fine. So
yeah, nobody's watching anyways, right?
Nobody's watching anyway. I mean, I think the subscribers are like robots or something. I think they're like robots from Russia.
Maybe cursing.
Russian bots.
Maybe cursing would get us some search
well, I mean, if we were controversial like Joe Rogan, we would get more people.
Yeah.
Controversy seems to get. Ask Fox News. They do well.
That's right. Controversy, right? Man.
Controversy's king. So anyway, so then.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I landed my airplane with no electricity whatsoever. Wow. No electricity. I flew all the way just by using Pilotage and Dead Reckoning, just by looking. Right.
Wright brothers.
I mean, it was some basic like Snoopy.
Yeah.
I was like Snoopy.
Like you had one of them twin wing biplane things.
That's right. So anyway, so that was my so that's my airplane story about the Pilatus.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So then I guess that shows you that if you got a problem,
most of the time you should be able to work it out.
You should, if you have a skill set, you should be able to work it out.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And so the book says if you're on an IFR flight plan, which I was on an IFR flight plan, you continue on per your last instruction by ATC, and I was cleared direct to destination. So then,
there's someone they expect you to land in a location,
right? So then legally, I'm cleared to go to my destination. Right. However, I had more problems than just a broken radio.
Right.
Right. I had broken everything.
Right.
But I had an engine.
Yes.
And I knew the engine would take me wherever I wanted to go.
For up to 4 hours.
Up to 4 hours. And I said, I'm going back to Martinsville, which was not far away.
Because you know they can fix it for you.
And they can fix it. So that's where I went. So that's my story about
So curiosity, do you know what the results of what the problem was?
Bad alternator.
Wow.
Bad alternator.
Alternator.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was driving. I'll be real quick. I graduated, and my buddy Sam Orlando and I were driving to Toronto with a stop in Buffalo. It's a thing he wanted to do, and we're going to take him up to Jersey, whatever. That's where he's from. I'm driving along the highway in the middle of upstate New York, not far from Binghamton, New York. I know Binghamton because that's where Macintosh stair equipment's made. I'm an audio geek. Anyways, driving along the highway. This is 90s, 80s. We're driving along, and I have a cool Trans Am. And just driving along, and the car just quits. Even the motor. Everything.
Your car.
My car.
Just quits.
Just quits. I had enough energy and speed to make it off of a ramp.
Right.
Or an exit.
Right.
And coast into this old gas station. Ended up getting flatbed tow truck up to Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, where we had like a hotel already booked. Oh, and it was like, I'm lucky I had cash because there was no credit card here.
Right.
Guy he was heroic because he had to drive all the way up there and drive back. I think it was like $125, which that's 80s. Now it'd be like $200-300. Awesome, lifesaver. Because the little shop where we pulled into, I had no idea. He actually literally drove us to the Pontiac dealer or whatever in the area, or GM dealer or whatever in the area, and they were going to fix it the next day with something
electrical.
It was called a fusible link, and it was something that happened where a cable had gotten pinched on something, created a short, and this fusible link went to save the rest of the system.
How about that?
But it was like, all of a sudden, just nothing.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's electrical.
It's electrical. My Tesla, one time driving on Wendover, taking Henry to, remember I told you he had a stroke, driving on Wendover, and all of a sudden, the computer part reboots itself. But Elon and his engineers are smart enough that they have like redundancy and shit built in, so the car still drove fine.
So right.
I didn't know how fast I was going.
Right.
It was kind of more like what you had.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All the steering and the brakes and everything still worked, and it rebooted and it was fine. It was just like having an iPad or a computer reboot, and like 3 minutes later, we were fine. But when it happened, all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh my god, this is weird." But it was fine. So, anyways, that went on way longer too. But that's a great story. Thank goodness you're here.
Well, I just
skills, a little bit of luck.
No luck.
No, the luck was that the motor kept running. Right? There's electrical involved in that.
The motor kept running because it has magnetos.
Yeah.
So then the airplane can be out of electricity, and because of the magnetos, the airplane will still keep.
So a car engine would have stopped in that situation.
It would have stopped because it needs the battery, right?
Correct.
The alternator recharges the battery.
Correct.
Right.
That's why I was saying luck. I was throwing that luck in there, but it's mostly skill. 99% skill.
It was skill. I mean, if a wing fell off, I'd be in trouble. But
correct.
I mean, and if the engine goes out, I land in a field.
You could have coasted to a field.
Yeah, I just go into a field.
Yeah, or a highway.
Or a highway. Right.
Wouldn't be the first time a plane landed on a highway in that situation.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Exactly right. So, are you ready for our last topic? And it's a happy topic.
It is. Before
the pop question, which is the last segment.
Right.
Are you ready for this?
I am.
I'm going to do another glockenspiel.
This is a fun one. I like this.
Tiny Italian town nearly has 10 residents over the age of 100.
Amazing. Centurions.
That's impressive, and they're all in Italy. Sardinia.
Mediterranean diet.
Diet.
Activity, they said.
Activity.
There's some genetics, too, though.
Genetics. Culture.
Amazing.
Culture, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Italians are worried about too much.
Pretty low key on a.
Think about it, man.
Island of Sardinia.
The Italians work like 35 hours a week. They live in the same house for like 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
family is still culture and all that.
Yeah, I mean, they don't worry about too much, right?
Yeah.
They have a government that's, I think it's like cradle to grave. They take care of you, so you don't have to worry about health insurance and all this other kind of rigmarole. It's just an easygoing life, right?
Yeah. It's amazing.
So I think if you want to live longer, move to Sardinia.
Sardinia, good idea.
Right? Move there and just eat whatever they're eating.
Lots of seafood and olive oil and stuff.
Right?
So I have to tell you, I had this funny little thing. I was watching a YouTube podcast, an interview with Ringo Starr from the Beatles, and it's just like a couple days on late night show. It'll come to me while we're talking. Anyways, he one of the subjects was he has a new book out that has all these photos of them and the Beatles and so forth and so on. And after they talk about that for a while, this subject comes up of this writing of Octopus's Garden, which is, as a Beatle, that's Ringo's most signature song.
Right.
So he tells his story, and I believe it was they were writing, I don't know, it's like one of their last couple albums where they weren't touring anymore and they were kind of doing their own thing. And I think it was like the White Album or Abbey Road or something. And he's like, he just doesn't feel connected to the rest of the guys in the band. He's like, I'm just the outcast here, right? The other three they're the brothers, right? So he goes and talks to George, and George is like, I thought you used the other three, right? And he's like, and then he goes and talks to Paul. I thought you guys were tight.
Right.
And all of a sudden he says, I just need a break. So he goes to Sardinia. And while he's down there, he and his wife are there, and they have this woman that's helping take care of the kids for him. They have 2 kids, kind of a nanny or some sort. And at one point, all of a sudden, this nanny says, take the child calmly. And he does. And he looks down, and there's an octopus around her ankle. He's like, I would have thrown the baby like this.
Right,
Freaked out, right? And then he goes on later. He's sitting they're on a boat or something. And they end up having fish and chips, but it was actually octopus and chips. So Sardinia must have lots of octopus or something, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody on the boat tells him this story about how these octopus, he's high as, he says, in Sardinia back then, they let you smoke pot, whatever, grass, whatever. Right. He says, I'm high as a kite. He's telling me this story about how there's these octopus, they create these little gardens of stuff to sort of define their home. And they'll take cans or whatever they can find down there, coral reefs, whatever, coral and stuff. And they make this octopus's garden. And he's like, I was so high, that was just like a dream come true. And all of a sudden, it just came to me. And went back, and George, I didn't know how to play anything other than drums, and George Harrison helps me figure out the song. That's where Octopus's Garden came from. Sardinia.
There you go.
And if you see him right now, you see he got some that life thing, because he's like 78 years old and he's 56.
Well, he's got another 22 years to go.
Yes, he's going to make it to 100. Yes,
are you ready?
George Harrison looks great. I mean, that's not George. Cool. George died of cancer, but Ringo Starr looks freaking amazing.
Are you ready for the pop quiz?
I'm going to go for it. I'm 2 out of 3.
Are you sure?
I'm 2 out of 3.
Are you sure? I'm going to do it again.
Let's go.
Here's a pop quiz. Pop question, pardon me.
Okay.
If you could be reincarnated, okay, what would you want to be reincarnated as? I already have my answer, so this is like a whole cheating section. I've already thought about it. So this is I don't mind cheating.
This is a really...
Especially when nobody watches the show.
Yeah. So...
They don't know if I'm cheating or not cheating.
So I figure...
At least I'm a true cheater and I tell the truth.
So I've never really thought that much about this. Most people want to come back as something completely different. For me, I'd almost want to, I've experienced a life so far. I feel like I would want to be able to extrapolate that. So I feel like I would still want to be a human. I might want to be a different human. Is that so I could pick out, like I could be some badass, guy like a, what's
you want to be Spider-Man or you want to be Batman or?
No, I'm thinking that's superhero. That's not reality. Of course, reincarnated is not reality. Anyway,
Bill Gates or what do you want to be?
Elon Musk or something.
Elon Musk.
I mean,
that's your answer.
It's amazing. Yes. Elon Musk.
Because he's amazing.
He's amazing. Changing the world.
He is changing the world. He's working for humanity.
100%. Anybody that doesn't think that doesn't get it.
I agree.
Just do your research.
That's a good answer.
I mean, he just donated $5 million to the school system in Brownsville.
Because he can.
Yep.
That's how he rolls.
Yep. What's yours?
Are you ready?
Ready as ever.
If I could be reincarnated, okay? And I thought about this.
You came with a question. Makes sense.
I came with a question. I would want to be reincarnated as a gay hairdresser.
Okay. Interesting.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
Nobody messes with a gay hairdresser. Think about it. Think about it. Nobody talks crap about a gay hairdresser. They don't talk crap about them. They need them.
Oh, yeah.
They need a gay hairdresser.
They're the best.
They're the best. Look at my hair. This isn't Supercuts. This isn't Great Clips or Sports Clips, whatever it's called, right? This isn't, from a barber. Okay?
No.
Nobody messes with a gay hairdresser. Who talks bad about a gay hairdresser? And when you go see them, they're the best therapist in the world.
That's an interesting twist.
Think about it.
Okay.
A gay hairdresser.
Well,
they have it made.
Okay.
And they have a lot of work. My guy stays busy. He could be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and always be cutting hair.
I'm good with all that, but what about the sex part? See, that I couldn't do that. Not for me.
If you're gay,
you're gay,
you would.
You're gay.
If you're gay, you're gay. Then you'd give a great. You'd do great fellatio, right? You'd be good at fellatio if you were gay, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right, but
you give what you get.
Right.
Or get what you give.
You'd be gay, so you wouldn't.
So you wouldn't be worrying about that.
You wouldn't want a girl, right?
Right, because you would be gay.
But those are my reasons for wanting to be a gay hairdresser.
That is fascinating. I'm going to stick with my Elon Musk angle.
I like your Elon Musk angle, but
I just like the significance of changing the world. But obviously, he's already changing it, so I wouldn't be able to. So yeah, I could be like his brother Kimball, changing the food industry.
Oh yes, that's right. He is.
Yeah,
he is.
He's doing good stuff.
He is.
The backup Musk.
Well, are you ready to end this podcast?
I sure am.
You ready for the outro music?
Heck yeah. So, throw something out here. Next podcast. Do we look a little more cancel culture like Chris Cuomo or something?
Pardon me?
Next podcast, should we look at some more continuous cancel culture, or we just sort of play it by ear?
Whatever you want to do.
Well, we didn't quite reach all of our goals this evening because I rambled on too long, which I had a tendency to do.
But guess what?
What's that?
We had fun.
Great time. So much fun.
And we had friendship. We had health.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say one more time, I look so forward to this evening with you to do this podcast.
These are so much fun.
These are fun. Especially.
They really are. And they're there for the history of the world.
Thank you.
You're my pleasure, my buddy.
Thank you so much. It was a good time.
It was great.
Very good time.
Very much fun.
And see everybody next time, right? Next time.
Anybody still with us?
Okay? Subscribe. Hate us. Thumbs up. Whatever.